助けてあげようか、真人。
知ってたさ。だって俺はお前らから
これからの世界の話を。
Before the video starts, about 96% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing and clicking that notification bell does help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all the support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here, bringing another TCG deck profile. This is going to be Blind Second Cyberdragon. You all voted, I answered. Here is Cyberdragon. This is going to be a list built for Blind Second. I found that potentially this might be the best version of the deck to be running if you're going to be running pure. I was considering making Cyberdragon Orchest, however I did think against it just because of the way Orchest plays now. It's a little bit different. You want to be making an IP which Cyberdragon doesn't necessarily have the greatest ability to do, but that's enough yapping. Let's get to the profile. We are on one Therion King Regulus. This is a searchable card, and we are able to summon it using any machine in our grave, so we're just playing the one since it's searchable. However, if we do open it, it is going to be quite powerful. We're on a triple of the Cyberdragon. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can't control any monsters to activate that, though. This is one of our best board breakers in this deck. Funny enough, a card from 2005 is our best board breaker. So we're going to go over that a little bit later when we go into the extra and closer to the end of the main deck. We are on Triple Galaxy Soldier, my favorite honorary Cyberdragon. You can send another light monster from your hand to the grave, special summon this card from your hand in defense position, and when it's special summoned, you can add a Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use the secondary effect of Galaxy Soldier once per turn. So this card is like a 1.5 card Cyberdragon Infinity, which is quite nice. You just need another light monster in your hand twice. However, this plus Cyberdragon Hertz is an infinity by itself, and you do get to load your graveyard up. We are on one Cyberdragon Veer. If you normal or special summon Cyberdragon, you can special summon this card from your hand. This can chain block Cyberdragon Core, so you can avoid getting ashed and such. However, this is just mainly another copy of Cyberdragon in the deck. We are on one Cyber Dark Chimera. This card is mainly here just to search Power Bond, as well as to try and start our combos a little bit more. This card does allow us to really OTK our opponent because it turns Power Bond into Overload Fusion plus Power Bond, which is really quite nice. This is also a machine, and so it is pretty good since it's a machine. That's why we're playing this Cyber Dark. We're on triple Cyberdragon Core. On normal summon, it'll add a Cyber Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. And if only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from your grave. Special summon a Cyberdragon monster from your deck. You can use one core effect per turn and only once per turn, so you can't use that banish effect and then normal summon a core. That doesn't work. We are on two Cyberdragon Nashter. This card's name becomes Cyberdragon while in the field and grave. You can discard one other monster, special summon this card from your hand. If the card's normal or special summon, you can target a machine with 2100 attack or defense in your grave, special summon it. Also, you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except machine monsters. You can only use this effective Nashter once per turn. This is the reason we can't necessarily play Cyberdragon Orchest too much anymore. We can't play it and end on a crescendo, which is nice, I guess. However, since we can't end on the IP Masquerena that Orchest really does want to be ending on, I don't really think that deck is too viable. Lastly, for our main deck monsters that aren't hand traps or on double Cyberdragon Hertz, this card's name becomes Cyberdragon on field and grave. If this card's special summon, you can make this card's level become 5 until the end of the turn. You can't special summon monsters except for machines. If this card's sent to the grave, you can add another Cyberdragon from your deck or grave to your hand. So if it's from grave, you can add Core, you can add Nash, you can add a different copy of Hertz, you can add a Cyberdragon. But if you don't have any other Cyberdragon related cards in your grave, you can only add the normal Cyberdragon from your deck to your hand. For hand traps, we are on triple Nibiru the Primal Being. We are blind second, so we kind of do want our opponent to get rocked. So we're playing 3 Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Now onto the spells and traps. We're on Triple Cyber Emergency. You can add a light machine that can't be a normal summoned or set, or a Cyberdragon monster from your deck to your hand. And the activation of this card is negated by your opponent and sent to the grave. You can discard a card to add it back to your hand, and then you can only activate it once per turn. So if it does get like judgmented or something, you can pitch a card to add it right back to your hand to activate it again, since the activation was negated. We are on 1 Cyber Repair Plant. If a Cyberdragon is in your grave, you can activate one of these effects. If you have 3 or more Cyberdragons in your grave, you can activate both. You can add 1 Light Machine monster from your deck to your hand, or you can target a Light Machine in your grave and shuffle that target into your deck. We're always going to be adding a card. This is our main way of searching Galaxy Soldier, as well as searching Yugioh, the Star-Destroying Kaiju, one of our good going second cards. So, yeah, we're going to be running one of this because we can search it off 4. We're running 1 Cyber Rev System. You can special summon a Cyberdragon from your hand or grave, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, like period. So that's just an extender. We're on Triple Machine Duplication. You can target a machine you control with 500 or less attack, special summon up to 2 monsters of the deck for the same name as that face-up monster. We have Cyberdragon Core, we have Cyberdragon Master, and we have Cyberdragon Hertz, all of which are considered Cyberdragon on the field. So we can target this with Machine Dupe and summon the normal Cyberdragon straight from our deck, which is very nice. And if it's core and they negate its effects with like Imperm or something, we can still summon the other 2 cores from our deck. We're on the 1 Power Bond to search with Cyberdark Chimera. We're on 1 Called by the Grave to avoid getting hand trapped, and we are on Triple Cyberdark Realm. When this card is activated, you can add a Cyberdark monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from the cards in your grave. During your main phase, you can immediately after the effect resolves, normal summon 1 Cyberdark monster. You only use the previous effect of Cyberdark Realm once per turn, and then the equip effect is irrelevant. This just searches your Chimera, which lets you get the Power Bond to fuse using stuff in your grave. The reason we have to play this engine is because before Cyberdragon used to play Verte Anaconda with an Overload Fusion, but now we have Chimera and Verte's banned, so we're cutting the Overload Fusion completely, and we're just playing kind of like a little bit of a better version of Overload Fusion, to be honest. Main downside is it isn't located in the extra deck, so we do have to draw a part of it. Now, our board breakers. We are on 1 Harpy's Feather Duster in the main, 2 Lightning Storm in the main, triple Clockwork Knight in the main. All phase-up monsters on the field become machine monsters. Machine monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense, and also machine monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. And then you can banish this card from your grave, discard a card, add an Earth Machine from your deck to your hand. The thing is, we can add Regulus off of this. A lot of our cards require us to maybe just discard a random card, like, I don't know, Cyber Emergency needs us to discard a random card and such. So we can get this in the grave somewhat reliably if we need to. It'll also get popped by our opponent, so it does technically float, but it does search the Regulus, which is our only target for that. And then lastly, in our main, to round it out, we have 2 Yugioh, the Star-Destroying Kaiju, as I previously mentioned. It's just a Kaiju that's searchable. That's it for the main deck. Now onto our extra. We're on 1 Almirage for our core, so we can core, search, Repair Plant, link it to Almirage, activate Repair Plant, because now we have a core in the grave, to search our Galaxy Soldier, and then all we need is another Hertz or something in grave to get off to the races. We are on the 1 SP Little Knight format staple. I don't really have much to say about this. We're on double Cyberdragon Seeger. This is a Cyberdragon monster we can special summon from our extra deck that's considered Cyberdragon to trigger our Veer in hand if need be. It needs 2 machine monsters, including a Cyberdragon. If this card's name becomes Cyberdragon on the field, during each battle phase, this card is not declared an attack. Quick effect, you can target 1 machine monster you control with 2100 or more attack. For the rest of the turn, that monster gains 2100 attack and defense. Also, neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this monster. You can only use effects of Cyberdragon Seeker once per turn. This used to be a crucial point in our OTK when Verte Anaconda was legal, because you would use Overload, you'd make Verte, Overload Fusion using Verte, make a monster that can attack multiple times, and then pump it all the way up to 4200. But now we can one-up ourselves now. We can make it 6300 and it can attack 3 times, which is quite nice. For XEs, we're on 1 Cyberdragon Nova to go into Infinity, which is an Omni Negate, and it's a suck on our turn. We're on 1 Chronomaly Vimana, which is an Omni Negate and can attach stuff from our grave to itself as material. It's a machine monster, so we don't get locked. It's a light machine, so it plays completely under Cyberdragon. It's just a Chronomaly card. We're on 1 Sky Crisis and 1 Sky Thunder. Both very powerful cards for the Xyz lineup. Sky Crisis not necessarily being Xyz reliant, while Zeus is. But Zeus is a light machine, so we can summon it under all of our Cyberdragon locks. Now for our fusions. We're playing 2 of each of these, so we don't like hard lose to like a Kashtira Unicorn or something. We're running double Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Needs 2+ Cyberdragon monsters. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials. When this card is fusion summoned, you can target spells and traps on the field up to the number of materials for its fusion summon, destroy them. Once per turn, you may send up to 2 light machines from your deck to your grave. And if you do, for each monster sent to the grave, this card gains 1 additional attack during each battle phase this turn. I don't know the each battle phase thing, but this card says it can attack 3 times, it pops back row, and it sends cards from your deck to the grave. This card is absolutely bonkers, and being able to fuse using like a power bond from the grave, making this guy either 4,200 or 6,300 if we have Seeger on field. It can attack 3 times, meaning your opponent's probably dead. It doesn't matter if they got a big-ass kaiju on their field or not, or even a big-ass Nib token or not. Speaking of not caring what's on their field, we're running double Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. This is the reason we're playing Clockwork Knight. If your opponent makes a big fuck-off field of like cards, all you need to do is resolve a Clockwork Knight, Windmill Slam a Cyberdragon, and that field is gone. Because this card is a contact fusion card. Cannot be used as fusion material, must first be special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards from either field to the graveyard. The original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of materials used for its special summon. So if your opponent has 5 monsters on field and you use 1 Cyberdragon, this is going to be a 6,000 attack monster, and your opponent's not going to have anything on their side of the field, monster-wise. So of course we're going to be playing 2 of that again, so it doesn't get lost to Kashtira Unicorn. And that's the main reason we're playing Clockwork Knight in the main. It just happens to work with Regulus. And then lastly, for our extra run 2 Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon, if we don't happen to get the Clockwork Knight, Cyberdragon still is an interaction because it can eat anything in the extra monster zone. Anything. It doesn't really matter. They choose to put their Epurli Noir in the extra deck zone. Say less. I'm not. That's it for the extra deck. Now on to the main. That's it for the extra deck and main deck. Now onto the side deck. Since this is a blind second deck, our opponents are most likely going to force us to go first if we have won game 1. So we are running a bunch of cards in our side deck to try and make sure we win that game 2 when we're going first. We are on triple Solemn Strike in the side deck. I just really like siding this card, especially when I know my opponents are going to force me to go first, just because they're not going to expect this card in the slightest, so they're really going to play into it. They're going to make a big fuck off like card, and I'm just going to say no. And then we are on 1 Rivalry of Warlords. Each player can only control 1 type of monster, send all of our face card monsters they control to the grave. We're pretty much only going to have machines. The only time we're not is when we have a Nibiru on our side of the field. However, more than likely, if we're going first, we're not going to be playing Nibiru in the main deck, are we? So, Rivalry of Warlords can really only hurt our opponents. The only thing is, we have Rivalry, we can't have All Mirage or SP on the board, or Typhon. We are on double Crackdown. This is just like a cute card that I wanted to try out. Not necessarily the most optimal trap card. There's definitely better, like Imperm's probably a better card. However, this is a novel form of interaction, stealing your opponent's cards during their turn. A lot of people are used to you stealing their cards during your turn, but not their turn. So this is just one way to try and mess up their combos. And then Cyberdragon does have a trap card. It's called Cybernetic Overflow. You can banish Cyberdragons with different levels from your hand, face of field, and or grave, then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. And if this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, you can add a Cyber Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. You can use each effect of Cybernetic Overflow once per turn. This card is very good. It floats if your opponent does choose to remove it or use a Carpy's Feather Duster on it. You can float into anything, which is a mild reconciliation. However, this is just, you can pop, like, typically you're mostly going to be popping 1 or 2. However, given the deck, you can pop up to 4, being Cyberdragon, Cyberdragon Veer, Cyberdragon Core, and either Cyberdragon Master or Hertz, because those are both level 1s. Those are all different levels, so you are going to be able to pop up to 4, but it's typically be 1 or 2. That's it for our traps. We're on 1 Herald of the Abyss for like big fuck off cards like the Adagnister card and Noir, but it's more for Noir because the Adagnister card's typically going to be in the extra monster zone, which means it's not even an issue for us in the slightest. We're on triple Droll and Lockbird, format Superstar, and triple DD Crow because the only deck that I'm really afraid of, personally, not even related to this deck, the deck I'm afraid of the most is Labyrinth. That deck is scary. That's about it for this profile. Thank you guys so much for watching, if you still are, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye. Thank y'all so much for watching the video, it really means a lot. If you want to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh players in a competitive manner, please feel free to check out my Discord. We are still growing, but we would love to have you, and we plan to do some events sometime soon. You'll also be able to do cool stuff like vote on future videos and topics of videos, so swing by sometime and check us out. I also started a Patreon, so that'll be linked in the description of my videos from now on. Donating would mean a lot and would help in producing these videos. Right now, there's only one tier, being Tier 1 Femboy. This tier includes access to an exclusive Discord channel where you'll be able to talk amongst other femboys and have access to discussions with me as well as getting a shout out in every video following your patronage. Thank you so much for all your support.